Hi everyone, welcome to Table for Two. I am the Elusive Bigfoot.
And I'm Onezie. Today we're doing our top 5 games with table presence. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what table presence means?
So for me, I looked at table presence as if I had it out and we're playing, it will catch the attention of someone else walking by like, what is that?
A wow factor.
A wow factor, yeah.
A wow factor.
So we're going to be giving you our top 5 choices in no particular order. And if this is the type of video that interests you and you like us, go ahead, like and subscribe, and then you'll be notified when we release more.
Before we dive into our top 5 in no particular order of table presence games, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have one. It is Takenoko. Takenoko is a beautiful game. It's got an Asian theme where you're laying out tiles to grow bamboo. So you have different kinds of objectives, and you're trying to please the emperor with the most beautiful garden. While the gardener is trying to grow the bamboo to help you achieve an objective, you might have a panda trying to eat certain colors and certain amounts of bamboo, and that gets you different points. You're playing both sides of that. And at the same time, you're laying out tiles and getting it irrigated with water, which will also give you points. So in this particular game, when you have, I think it's for 2 players, I want to say it's 7 cards, maybe?
7 or 9.
Yeah, I can't remember. When you have a certain number of cards, though, that will trigger the end, and then you see how many points did you actually achieve. And then whoever achieves the most points will also get a bonus card that you have the most beautiful garden from the emperor. And you know why you would need to have more points, I don't know, but yeah, you do get that. If you have, I guess if you have a lot of cards that have low points, you'll have that opportunity.
In terms of table presence, there also exists in the world a giant game of this version of this game.
Yeah.
Right. So the normal game is very great looking all by itself, but the giant one is just, well, it's more. More is better.
It's more.
This one goes to 11.
Does go to 11.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that game.
All right. That is Takenoko.
All right. So why don't we start with you? What is your top of the list, or in no particular order? What's the first one you want to mention for table presence?
I think I want to talk about Wonderland's War. It is a game that is got the theme of Alice in Wonderland, and you're having this crazy tea party. And what's amazing, well, first of all, this board is gigantic. So there's that, because you're going to be starting to place a bunch of meeples and characters and castles on it. So it needs a lot of room. And you have all these cards as well as the board with all the different figures that are on it. And then you also have these figurines. You either have the 3D figurines or you have these cardboard standees. But the whole game is colorful and beautiful.
Since it's also on my list, I'll just mention too that I love the madness shards.
Oh, yes.
So in order to represent how mad you become, you collect these little madness
black
pieces.
Yeah.
Little madness pieces. And I think the starting order of the next turn depends on who has gone the most mad.
Something like that, yeah.
Turn. But yeah, the madness shards are cool. The whole thing is great.
It's got a great theme. One thing that I find fascinating is that everyone is going, I want to say we're going clockwise, but Alice goes counterclockwise around the table. So, I mean, the whole game, it just really plays with the craziness of what Wonderland is like. And yeah, it's gorgeous.
You mentioned the size of the board. I think it's actually, I consider it to be 2 boards in one. So there's a board in kind of the center or the top where you go around and you get your resources and you get your cards, and there's a larger board around the outside that represents the different lands of the Wonderland's War,
where you have the battles,
where you're going to do a battle. Yes, so it's great. It's a huge map, and it's a huge player track for collecting cards.
And then you also have your bag drafting, where you're pulling out chips to see whether or not you bust or not. I mean, it's a whole bunch of games in one.
Yes, and it's Alice in Wonderland, so how great is that?
Okay, my next one is Tekhenu, Obelisk of the Sun. So in this one, it is an Egyptian theme, and you have a giant obelisk that's casting a shadow on the different dice that you are rolling. So you roll dice, and then you place them around the obelisk, and then depending where the shadow is then facing, it'll determine if it's pure, if it's light or dark, or if it's in the shade, I think it's called. But it you have the opportunity to build a monument, or to build a building, or to gain popularity or happiness. I mean, it's definitely not a gateway kind of game, but it is so much fun. And that big giant obelisk that's in the middle, some people I know don't like to play with it. I like to, because it's just kind of fun to be able to turn it and make the sound of a it's turning rock.
Rich. Yeah, Tekhenu made it onto my list as well.
Oh, did it really?
Of course it did. Yes. So one thing I love about Tekhenu, and I love this about some other games too, is there are multiple ways to achieve your victory points. It's not just whoever gets ahead on this wins. You could do, I think, 6 different things. There's 6 different ways to get points or more.
I can't remember. I just remember you just kind of go around the board.
Build buildings in the temple, build buildings in town, build a statue to the gods.
Gain resources on your track.
All kinds of stuff. So if one way isn't working out for you, you can pursue a different route, right? I'm not going to be the building builder victorious player. I'm going to be the statue building victorious player or something like that. So Tekhenu was definitely on my list as well. And that's Tekhenu.
Obelisk of the Sun. All right, my next one is Mandala Stones. So that is a game that we actually like taking with us to the park when we play outside. It plays well outside. You have a giant board in the center. It's an abstract game that has different stones with different colors and patterns stacked on it. And then you're going to move what is called the artist to different locations. And then if the pattern that's at the top of the artist matches anything that surrounds it, any of the colored stones, you get to take those stones and put them on your player board, and from there you'll be able to score points in different ways. It's a beautiful game. My niece is very good at it. That is Mandala Stones.
I just want to mention too that game looks beautiful when you're done with it.
Oh yeah.
Because the way you keep track of how the game ends is you end up putting some of the stones that you've used in a big spiral around the board that keeps track of that.
Yeah.
And so you end up with a bunch of multicolored stones spiraling around a board. It just looks great.
Okay.
All right. My next one on the list is one I don't think we own, but we've played it at a convention, which is Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game. Right. So it's a take that game, which we usually don't do a lot of. It's a battle game, right? But just because I was 10 in 1977, you know, how cool is it to have X-Wings fighting TIE fighters on they're called miniatures, but they're pretty big, and it takes up the whole table is a mat of space, and you roam around space fighting each other and try to gain a tactical or strategic advantage over the other players, and you're shooting at each other. Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game.
Yeah, I like that game. You get to either play the Rebellion or the Empire. That was a lot of fun. And they have different kinds of ships that you can add on to your base game.
Yeah, it's not just X-Wings and TIE fighters. You can get all kinds of other stuff too.
Okay, my next game harkens back to when I was a kid and I had this wish, oh, I really want to play some of those games that just look so much fun. And this one is Volcano Island. So you are tourists who have gone to this island and you want to take a lot of pictures and go on a sightseeing tour. And meanwhile, the volcano every once in a while will erupt. And as it erupts, marbles will come down out of Volcar and it will roll down the mountain, and it could strike one of the character miniatures that are running around the island, or it could just miss you completely and you get to keep going on your adventure. But it's just, you've got all these trees, you've got this giant volcano, you've got the marbles, you've got your fairy figures on there. It is so much fun to play.
I'll just mention two because this was on my list
Oh, was it
as
really?
well. That it's not called Volcano Island, it's called Fireball Island.
Oh, you're right. Oh, shoot. Should we
That's
do the whole thing over?
No, heck no, that's funny.
Okay. All right. It is not called Volcano Island. I'm sure everyone is screaming at their video right now that it's not Volcano Island.
It's called Fireball Island.
Mm-hmm.
It's also called A Lot of Fun because it's a toy that's also a game.
That's true.
You know,
Adults really love this game.
you have a giant plastic mountain and you're rolling marbles down it to knock things over.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. And there's expansions for it too.
So you can roll more stuff and knock more stuff over.
That's true.
Yep. So that's Fireball Island.
Fireball Island, not Volcano Island, even though you're on a volcano. Okay. My next one, or my last one, is Terracotta Army. So in this game, you have you are choosing different actions, and with those actions, you can start to get properties to start to create the Terracotta Army. You want to get some clay, you want to fashion them into figures. You take those figures, and each figure has a different property that it will give you, a different ability, and from that you will gain points. So you move your Terracotta Army figures over to the one section of the board, and you start to place them, and from that you want to be strategic about, do you place it in a certain area to gain points for a certain objective, or do you want to start moving what is some of the marshals that are on there that in the line of sight you can gain different points. I mean, there's just different ways of gaining points as well on this game. That is Terracotta Army.
All right, so that's our top 5 list.
You don't have any more?
I did all 5 of mine.
Okay.
All right, so that's our top 5 list in no particular order of games with table presence. There are plenty of other games with table presence that we did not mention. What's your favorite game with table presence? What do you think is the most impressive thing on the table? Please let us know in the comments below.
Like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.